What's up, guys? We're back in the studio. We got some great stuff on deck for you guys, so let's go ahead and get straight to the point and check it out. Up first is the Superflow 003 and the Superflow 008. I believe these are both fairly new. Maybe not totally new, but they're new to us over here at our Primo. Biscuit's back in the game over here. Hey, get off Ed. We're making a video here. Okay, so the Superflow 003 is a 90 millimeter, I believe. Yes, a 90 millimeter squeezable type of marker with a nylon head, a nylon tip up here. Now, I'm not 100% that it's nylon, but it looks to me to appear to be nylon. It's not like this fibrous type of nib that you got here on the drip mop styles. So it's very smooth, and in my experience, these type of nibs tend to flow out really well. So that should be interesting. They tend to be rather durable too, which is also nice. Now the Superflow 008 is a 60 millimeter. Now between the two, man, I'm getting purple dye all over these. Between the two, I would say the 003 is much more squeezable. You can really feel the difference between the two. So if you want something with a lot of squeezability, definitely get the 003. I think you guys will really enjoy it. Now there is some compatibility here with these. Just kind of taking a gander here at these. This looks to be the same size as a mini crusher or a Squeezy E nib. So if you want to get a mohair nib, you can pop one of those right on there. You can do the same thing with that. In fact, this actually looks just like a Squeezy E, but with a much more dense body. It's less squeezy, that's for sure. But if you're using a thin dye type ink, I think it'll work out really well for you. So why don't we do this? We'll go ahead and pour some inks in these bad boys and check them out. And since this is an OTR video, there we go. Since this is an OTR video, I figure we might as well use some OTR ink. Just to keep it consistent for this one, we got some Soul Tip paint right here. Now this is a paint mixture, so it's not, it's not a, how do you say, it's not a solution. So you have to make sure you get this well shaken because it will separate between the pigment, the binder, and the solvent that's in this. If you don't, you'll get an inconsistent pour, and nobody likes that. Wouldn't have a good pour. So this is already pre-shaken. So I'm just kind of showing you that. Now the flow pen ink is a solution. It's already dissolved into it. You can shake it if you want. There will be some residue inside of it, but it's not entirely necessary. So let's go ahead and do a messy pour here. I know people are like, why don't you get a funnel, GR? But that's half the fun, making a little mess here. All right, that's beautiful. Okay, we'll pour some in here too. And what I'm going to do is just I'm going to make a little mixture of this with a little bit of flow pen ink, and that just kind of gives it a little bit of flow and stainability. That thin alcohol ink, kind of the similar what you would do with Garvey. You know, it just kind of gives a little bit, it kind of stretches it out a little bit, if you will. And especially on those rough surfaces, it helps it get stainy, kind of bleeds into there, if you will. Look at this. Woo, messy, messy. All right, so put the nibs on there. Now I think I just transposed the nibs. I don't think it matters too much. I think they're just different colors. I really don't think it's going to make a difference in performance. Could be wrong, but I guess we'll find out. Oh my God. Wow, maybe I put too much flow pen ink in here. That's okay. Now this one really takes a bit to squeeze through that one. If you really want to get the squeezability, I would definitely recommend the 003. So let's go ahead and take it up to our board over here. I will say this before I get started. I know I'm supposed to keep this nice and buff for all these videos. I do have a couple of ongoing experiments that are going on here. So I hadn't had a chance to fully buff it, so I do apologize to you guys. I think in the future we're just going to have to get more surfaces, and if you guys want some stuff you want me to tag on, let me know. If you're local, you want to bring your garbage can, I'll tag on your garbage can for you, or whatever, you know what I mean, a mailbox. I'll hook it up. We'll tag up everything. Okay, let's go ahead and check out the Superflow here. Okay, this is the 003, and already I could tell I put too much flow pen ink in it. Oh man, I'm barely squeezing it, and it's just coming out crazy. Oh man, I think you could just run the Soul Tip by itself in this, and it should be fine. But you know me, I like to play around here. Now these nibs do kind of want to be, I don't want to say broken in, but they kind of need to, kind of get pushed in and into their place before you start using them, because the valve kind of sits on there in a strange way. I mean, I will tell you, this thing is really drippy. It's phenomenal, actually. Let's hit up Feo again. I just like that word. And Brute. Wow, if you really like drips, then this is the mop for you. That is for sure. I mean, look at this. What a pretty mess we've made, huh? What a pretty mess. Okay, we need to check out the other one. This is the OO. Can you read that? I have no idea what that was. I think it was a 009. Let's see here. Okay, now since it's less squeezable, it actually works much better with this thin flowing ink. So if you want a little bit more control, this may be the one for you. It actually writes pretty nice, fairly good. Let's do another little tag up here. Very nice. And hit up Puto. Let me just do a crazy squeeze. That's just crazy. I mean, nobody would do such a thing in the real world. I mean, come on now. I just want to get all the ink out of it so we can fill it with some regular Sol-Tip paint, because I think that's what we'll need to do with this one. You know, this is what I do in these videos. I break it before you buy it. You know what I mean? I push it through the limit and show you what the possibilities are and do all kinds of ridiculous stuff to, you know, maybe entertain you or just give you a good time. Okay, that is the 009, and on these smooth surfaces where you got a lot of ink flow coming out, I think this actually will be the better choice. But I want to put some pure Sol-Tip paint in this one and just take a look at it, but not bad. I am getting a little bit of streaking with this one too, so that may be my mixture. I'm not entirely sure, but I definitely have a lot more control with it. And once it starts getting the drips going through, it actually looks pretty good. So not bad, but I don't know. I feel like I really got to give it more of a squeeze to get that control. If we were just using Flow Pen ink by itself, maybe that would be a better choice for this one, for the 009. And if we were using Sol-Tip paint by itself, would be a better choice for this one. So why don't we go ahead and do that? I'm gonna pour some of this out real quick. You know, that's one thing I really like about the drip mop is you can go from really thin or really thick inks in both of them. Oh, well, that was interesting. You can use either really thick or really thin ink in those, and it works pretty well either way. But I have a feeling, is the cap gonna come off of this? I think I got some ink on biscuit actually. Maybe not, maybe not. All right, so let's pour this off. This will be our swag bottle over here. We can maybe put that in a drip mop later and have some fun with that. Since this one is so squeezable, I want to try putting, I don't really have a lot of room left, do I? I just want to put pure Sol-Tip paint. Just make sure everything's out of this. Pure Sol-Tip paint in this one. We'll try it one more time. I know we don't have a lot of room here. And in this one, we're just going to put Flow Pen ink in. Since the 009 is a little bit denser, it may like that real runny ink. So, we'll get that set up there. Which nib is which is the next question. I think they're the same. I really don't see a significant difference between the two. I think they're the same nib. Could be wrong. You can comment below if you think I'm wrong. With just a Sol-Tip paint anyways, so we'll just do a... It's still really drippy, wow. But you know what? I feel like I do have a bit more control over it this time. But man, it's still so drippy. Wow. But you know, if you're looking for those drips, I mean, I guess that's just what you've come to expect, right? Yeah, I do have a little bit more control this time. So I don't think you'd even want to mix any of that Flow Pen ink in here. Okay, so this one just has Flow Pen ink, the 009. We'll test that real quick. Sorry, that wasn't the nib. Okay, yeah. See, I'm getting a lot better flow now. Okay, So this is Flow Pen. And it is on glass, which doesn't really have a lot of surface tension. So when you're using a thin ink like that, I think that's an acceptable amount. And then this is Sole Tip right here. And you can see that it is a paint. It's a paint mixture. So it's gonna be a lot thicker. And it has much more pigment. Well, it has pigment, where this is a dye, all right? Dye versus pigment. This is Sole Tip paint, right? Yeah, this is Sole Tip paint. Just kind of want to see how it lays down on there. Man, this thing is really drippy. I mean, if you're looking for drippy, you found the right stuff here, that's for sure. Which is weird. I actually don't really care for how the Flow Pen ink is writing through this nib myself. I feel like a drip mop is a better solution for your Flow Pen ink, so you might be better off just using a different nib on this one. If it were me, maybe using the mohair nib to rock it with this. Now again, these are alcohol inks, and my feeling with alcohol inks on grilled surfaces like this that have a lot of other inks in them, they do tend to bleed in. Nevertheless, let's go ahead and check it out. Now it is a black, and the black should be able to hold up a lot better in these circumstances. So we'll let that chill right there. I think my hypothesis will be correct with that. Let's see here. Let's test out the Flow Pen ink. Yeah, I don't see them bleeding in that much, and I think that's definitely because of the fact that they're black. So you shouldn't have too much of a trouble with these, but if you were using a color like red or blue on this, you will notice a significant difference. The black is definitely holding its own, which is nice to see. We'll do another test right here. Man, it is runny on this metal surface. If you love the drips, then this mop is for you for sure. That might be almost too drippy. That might be almost too drippy. So why don't we go ahead and mop this up, and we'll talk about these mops here. And I gotta say this, if you really want something that's really drippy and runny, definitely get yourself an 009. It's definitely probably the drippiest mop I've ever seen. Biscuit, why don't you sit down, girl? It might actually be too drippy for me, in my honest opinion. But you know, there are creative situations where you may like that. And if you're using a bit of a thicker ink, in fact, maybe like a homemade Rust-Oleum mix, it might actually be just fine. But they're quite interesting markers. I don't know how I feel about these nibs. I think I'm more partial to the mohair nib myself. So if you were to get one of these, I would probably pick up a couple mini crusher nibs. I think they work really well with these style mops, and I think you'd be much better suited. Now maybe we can look at that in a future video. But in the meantime, they are interesting, and they're a pretty inexpensive option for a lot of artists. So, you know, definitely get them and check them out and see what you think. Me personally, I think I would go for the drip mop myself for an all-arounder. But I guess if I want something really runny, rock one of these. With that said, I will say this. I had a good time playing with it. It was a lot of fun. So thank you very much, guys. I'll see you later.